Chinese Islamic cuisine is the cuisine of the Hui and other Muslims living in China such as Dongxiang, Salar and Bonan as well as Dungans of Central Asia. History. Due to the large Muslim population in western China, many Chinese restaurants cater to or are run by Muslims. Northern Chinese Islamic cuisine originated in China proper. It is heavily influenced by Beijing cuisine, with nearly all cooking methods identical, and differs only in material due to religious restrictions. As a result, Northern Islamic cuisine is often included in home Beijing cuisine, however seldom in East Coast restaurants. During the Yuan dynasty, halal methods of slaughtering animals and preparing food was banned and forbidden by the Mongol emperors, starting with Genghis Khan, who banned Muslims and Jews from slaughtering their animals their own way, and making them follow the Mongol method. Among all the alien peoples, only the Hui say, "We do not eat Mongol food. By the aid of heaven we have pacified you. You are our slaves, yet you do not eat our food or drink. How can this be right?" Quote, he thereupon made them eat. If you slaughter sheep, you'll be considered guilty of a crime. Quote, he issued a regulation to that effect. All the Muslims say, if someone else slaughters, we do not eat, because the poor people are upset by this. From now on, Muslimin Hui and Jew Hui, no matter who kills will eat and must cease slaughtering sheep themselves, and cease the rite of circumcision. Traditionally, there is a distinction between northern and southern Chinese Islamic cuisine despite both utilizing mutton and lamb. Northern Chinese Islamic cuisine relies heavily on beef, but rarely ducks, geese, shrimp or seafood, while Southern Islamic cuisine is the reverse. The reason for this difference is due to availability of the ingredients. Oxen have been long used for farming, and Chinese governments have frequently strictly prohibited the slaughter of oxen for food. However, due to the geographic proximity of the northern part of China to minority-dominated regions that were not subjected to such restrictions, beef could be easily purchased and transported to northern China. At the same time, ducks, geese, and shrimp are rare in comparison to southern China due to the arid climate of northern China. A Chinese Islamic restaurant can be similar to a Mandarin restaurant with the exception that there is no pork on the menu and is primarily noodle soup based. In most major eastern cities in China, there are very limited Islamic halal restaurants, which are typically run by migrants from western China. They primarily offer inexpensive noodle soups only. These restaurants are typically decorated with Islamic motifs such as pictures of Islamic rugs and Arabic writing. Another difference is that lamb and mutton dishes are more commonly available than in other Chinese restaurants, due to the greater prevalence of these meats in the cuisine of Western Chinese regions. Other Muslim ethnic minorities like the Salar, Dongxiang, Bonan, and Tibetan Muslims have their own cuisines as well. Dongxiang people also operate their own restaurants serving the cuisine. Many cafeterias at Chinese universities have separate sections or dining areas for Muslim students, typically labeled Qingshen. Student ID cards sometimes indicate whether a student is Muslim and will allow access to these dining areas, or will allow access on special occasions such as the Eid feast following Ramadan. Several Hui restaurants serving Chinese Islamic cuisine exist in Los Angeles. San Francisco, despite its huge number of Chinese restaurants, appears to have only one whose cuisine would qualify as halal. Many Chinese Hui Muslims who moved from Yunnan to Burma are known as Panthays operate restaurants and stalls serving Chinese Islamic cuisine such as noodles. Chinese Hui Muslims from Yunnan who moved to Thailand are known as Chinhor, and they also own restaurants and stalls serving Chinese Islamic food. In Central Asia, Dungan people, descendants of Hui, operate restaurants serving Chinese Islamic cuisine, which is respectively referred to as Dungan cuisine there. They cater to Chinese businessmen. Chopsticks are used by Dungans. The cuisine of the Dungan resembles northwestern Chinese cuisine. Most Chinese regard Hui halal food as cleaner than food made by non-Muslims, so the restaurants are popular in China. Hui who migrated to northeast China after the Guangdong opened many new inns and restaurants to cater to travelers, which were regarded as clean. The Hui who migrated to Taiwan also operate Qingzhen restaurants and stalls serving Chinese Islamic cuisine in Taipei and other big cities. The Thai Department of Export Promotion claims that China's halal food produces a small-scale entrepreneurs whose products have little value added and lack branding and technology to push the goods to international standards. To encourage Thai private sector halal producers to market the products in China, a 1903 started franchise which serves Muslim food is Dongxiang in Hankou. 400 miles have to be kept as a distance from each restaurant serving beef noodles to another of its type if they belong to Hui Muslims, since Hui have a pact between each other in Ningxia, Gansu, and Shaanxi. Famous dishes. Lamian. Lamian is a Chinese dish of handmade noodles, usually served in a beef or mutton-flavored soup, but sometimes stir-fried and served with a tomato-based sauce. Literally, it means to pull or stretch, while means noodle. The hand-making process involves taking a lump of dough and repeatedly stretching it to produce a single very long noodle. It was noted that words that begin with L are not native to Turkish, so that Lagman is a loan word as stated by Uyghur linguist Abdulhakim, so it is of Chinese derivation and not originally Uyghur. L-starting words are not native to Turkish. Words which begin with R and L, which are initial liquids, are not native to Turkish. Turkish native words do not start with the initial L. Beef noodle soup. Beef noodle soup is a noodle soup dish composed of stewed beef, beef broth, vegetables and wheat noodles. It exists in various forms throughout East Asia and Southeast Asia. The most common Vietnamese version is called bo kho, but which uses rice noodles instead. It was created by the Hui people during the Tang dynasty of China. In the West, this food may be served in a small portion as a soup. In China, a large bowl of it is often taken as a whole meal with or without any side dish. Shwana kebab, originating in the Xinjiang province of China and in recent years has been disseminated throughout the rest of that country, most notably in Beijing. It is a product of the Chinese Islamic cuisine of the Uyghur people and other Chinese Muslims. Jiangru Xuan, or lamb kebabs, is particularly popular. Suan kai. Chinese sauerkraut is a traditional Chinese cuisine vegetable dish used in a variety of ways. It consists of pickled Chinese cabbage. Suan kai is a unique form of pao kai due to the material used and the method of production. Although suan kai is not exclusively Chinese Islamic cuisine, it is used in Chinese Islamic cuisine to top off noodle soups, especially beef noodle soup. Nang nang is a type of round unleavened bread topped with sesame. It is similar to South and Central Asian naan. Image gallery.